first of all, Hollywood Walk of Fame, groundbreaking songs, Straight Outta Compton, F*** the Police, Boyz In The Hood, Players Club, Ride Along, Straight Outta Compton, 21 Jump Street, Three Kings. It is a pleasure to have you here, man.
I'm trying to be like you when I grow up.
No, man.
I never said I wanted to do movies.
So then how
I was
did they
discovered?
I really want to find out who took Pac out or who took Biggie out.
Mind your own business and you live longer.
Who has the most power in the entertainment industry?
You know, you gotta have balance. You know what I mean? Gotta have a little R&B with your hip hop. Gotta have a little funk with it.
Mix it
a little
bit.
soul. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I got you.
How much they are invested in all these big labels and the prison industry. I'm not saying that the CIA is sitting there writing rhymes. Talked about some things that I've never talked about in the interview, so.
As a kid who grew up in LA, I follow his story very closely, Cube, and I've seen a lot of the podcasts. At the end of the podcast, he said, I shared certain stories today I've never shared before. The 3 close calls he had as a kid, almost died. The story, I said, why did you leave the life and why did you not go become a gangster? He told a story about what happened to his stepsister and what her husband did to his stepsister that was such a life-altering event that got him to say, I'm not doing this anymore. How he got recruited to Boyz In The Hood for the movie, which makes no sense. I played him a clip of the time Suge Knight called into the podcast, and I said, here's what Suge said about a story with Eazy-E and Dre. Dre said this on speaker that got Eazy-E to cry. Do you believe this story? And I asked him who he trusted out of the 3 the most. He broke it down and kind of went through it. We talked so many different things. We talked Lakers. We talked politics a little bit. We talked politics. I brought up a couple names in Hollywood on who were the most powerful people, and seeing how he would maneuver through some of these questions was just interesting to watch. I think you're going to enjoy this interview just as much as I did. So having said that, here's Cube.
30 seconds. Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
All right, so we got a special guest in the house, and I want to properly introduce this guest. And when he, we first spoke, they called, they said, look, all Cube wants to talk about is politics. I said, I don't like politics. They said, no, that's all he wants to talk about. I said, I want to talk about his career, his life, business, other things. So let me properly introduce you. This may be one of the coolest resumes you could have. Here we go. So first of all, Hollywood Walk of Fame, he's earned. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. The amount of movies sold 10 million records. N.W.A.'s groundbreaking songs, Straight Outta Compton. Fuck the Police. What else we got here? Movies he's been in. Boyz In The Hood. Over 40 films, by the way. Higher Learning. All About the Benjamins. Barbershop. Next Friday. Players Club. Ride Along. Straight Outta Compton. 21 Jump Street. Three Kings. What else can I tell you? All those being there, we hear, there's a possibility of another one coming out here, which we're going to talk about. You got the big 3. You got movies, music. You got so many things going on. It is a pleasure to have you here, man.
I'm trying to be like you when I grow up.
No, man. I was saying how busy you are. And by the way, probably the most impressive one out of all of this. When I saw this, I said, there's no way this is true. And then I had to go, have our team take a look at it. So check this out. You probably already know this. So obviously we're going to talk about a lot of different things today, but I want to share this with the audience. Here we go. So the longest lasting marriages in hip hop, okay? So Jay-Z and Beyonce since 2008. T.I. and Tamika, 2010. Ice-T and Coco, 2005. Ja Rule and Aisha, 2001. Method Man and Tamika, 2001. Snoop and Shantae, 97. LL Cool J and Simone, 95. Rev Run and Justine, 94. The only one that's ahead of you and Kimberly, because you guys are 1992, is E40 and Tracy, 91.
Yeah.
You've been married for 32 years?
Yeah.
You guys got, 5 kids?
4.
4 kids?
Yeah.
How the hell do you make marriage work in hip-hop, movies, the life? How do you make that work for 32 years?
Well, you make the marriage the most important out of all that. You don't get distracted by the glitz and the glamour and the the promises of the industries, but you focus on what's important, and you do your work, and then you make sure your most important priority is happy, healthy, and comfortable with the journey.
Comfortable with the journey. Was there a certain agreement? Were there certain values that you guys kind of speak about, where when you guys look at each other, you kind of understand each other? Anything that helped the two of you guys last for 32 years? You know what I'm saying? Like if you argue, let's do this. If you anything like that,
we just made a real commitment to each other. People like us come out of South Central Los Angeles, and some of the odds are stacked against us. So when you find a like-minded person, soul, who wanna beat the odds, you make a pact and you make a commitment to each other to win and not to lose out here. And so my wife Kim is amazing. She can care less about the business as far as being a part of Hollywood and the glitz and the glamour and this, that, and the other. That don't turn her on. But she's down to help me make it to the top. And so I appreciate her for that. And like I said, I wouldn't be here without her,
How'd you guys meet?
First time we met, it was at a mall, a spot called the Fox Hill Mall.
I used to sell at Fox Hill Mall.
Yeah, Fox Hill Mall.
Yeah.
And I saw her coming down the escalator, and something in my head, this has never happened to me ever in my life, something in my head said, that can be your woman. So I didn't really approach her after that. She kind of was shopping, and I was shopping. We ran into each other in the Foot Locker, and I had my friend T-Bone. T-Bone talks a lot, so he was like talking their head off. And so I went to shoot my shot, and she had a boyfriend. So she was like, nah, it ain't happening. So about 3-4 months later, driving down Crenshaw, me and T-Bone, and this car kept swooping on us. And it was my wife, Kim. She was riding with her cousin, and they pulled up on the side, and, the cousin was trying to get at me. But I saw Kim, and I'm like, yo, I remember her from the Fox Hill Mall. I'm gonna try it again, see if she still with this dude, and they had broke up. So that was my perfect opportunity.
How old were you?
19.
19 years old. So the escalator coming down right when you enter, I think through Macy's or whatever it was. I used to sell Bally memberships right next to the escalator. That was my spot when people would come down. I used to work at the Bally's in Culver City. Used to be a Nautilus years ago.
Yeah.
Right across from Sony with Dexter McClendon, Ruben Rimmer, Francisco Davis, all these guys. And they would send me to Fox Hills to sell memberships.
Yeah, man.
That's where I used to go to.
Fox Hill, my mall was really the Hawthorne Mall. That was near my house. But whenever we wanted to go look at the cute girls, we would go to Fox Hill.
So quality was better at Fox Hill.
Yeah, the quality was better
at Fox Hill.
For sure.
Now, Cube, when I talked to Cuba Gooding Jr., we had him on, and you guys did the movie, Boyz In The Hood.
Yeah.
And he told me the story where he says, I keep calling him O'Shea, and he says, listen, man, don't call me O'Shea. You call me Cube. And he said it's kind of complicated because he's Cuba and you're Cube, so you guys are doing a movie together.
Uh-huh.
And he says one of the scenes you come up to him and you say after the death, and you kind of don't know how to handle the loss of a loved one. And he says you went up to him and said, listen, Cuba, I'm not the crying type, man. I come from the hood. I'm not one that's going to cry. What feedback can you tell me about this scene? And he says, just think about the brothers you lost in the hood.
Yeah.
And he says, you said to him, I got it. I'm good from here. And then you went and did your thing.
Yeah.
Growing up, for you to be able to tap into, what you produce with music, with movies, who were you at 14 years old? Were you ever part of a gang? Were you a gangster? And if yes, who were you with?
Well, growing up in the neighborhood, you make choices. Now everybody in the neighborhood is affiliated. Like you can't not be you can't be neutral. So the neighborhood I come from is called Neighborhood Crips. And, you know, we growing up, we figuring out which direction we want to go. We 10, 12, 11. I start playing sports. I'm into football, I'm into basketball. And then I get into this rap stuff. Now, not too many people in my neighborhood was into it. As far as doing it, they all loved it. You know, the pros, Run DMC and the Fat Boys and, you know, LL Cool J. But only Sir Jinx, which is Dr. Dre's cousin that lived down the street, he was the only one into the music. He did it all. He did breakdancing, graffiti, DJing. Only thing he really didn't do was rap. So, you know, at that point where it's go hard for the hood or explore this new music at 13, 14 years old and hang out with Dr. Dre, my choice was to go with music, hang out with Dr. Dre. So them years when banging with her took over my life, I had something to replace it with, like great music and learning the music business and doing, you know, DJing parties and just doing something way more interesting than gangbanging.
Now, at the time, who was Dre? How was Dre seen in the streets? Not to the people that, you know, follow.
He was a
music.
local DJ that was one of the best in LA.
That's it.
He was known as, you know, it was a few DJs that were the best. Egyptian Lover, Bobcat, Joe Cooley. You know, these are you know, some of the best. DJ Pooh, Battle Cat. And Dre was, you know, close to the top when it came to being a coveted DJ that everybody digged, loved, and wanted to do their parties.
Did you like, how could you differentiate him against Egyptian Lover or others? Because they're all there. So you kind of picking who you want your running mate to be. Why did you choose Dre over, you know, whatever the Life may be or other, you know, talent out there?
I knew Dre. You know, I didn't know them other cats.
I got you. Okay.
Not to the point where I can hang with them and be a part of it. You know, I could go to, you know, Uncle Jam's Army. You know, they was the biggest crew. Uncle Jam's Army. They had Egyptian Lover. They had Arabian Prince. They had, you know, a bunch of DJs. They would do big, you know, concerts at the sports arena. And so out in Compton, you know, you had Lonzo Williams, who ran the Wrecking Crew. Mm-hmm. And they did parties mostly in Compton, Linwood, Carson, you know, them areas in that way. And so that's who I was hanging with. You know, I would leave South Central and go to Compton and hang with Lonzo and the Wrecking Crew, Dre, DJ Yella, Clientele, the Unknown DJ, DJ Unknown, sorry about that. And you know, just learning, you know, the Compton side of hip hop, you know, where they had Tidy T and they had Mixmaster Spade, and you know, they were starting to bubble, you know, as far as making a name for Compton in the music industry. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it was just circumstances, you know.
Were you a guy that Cube? I mean, when you see the way you rap, you see you in the movies, you see reading about you.
Yeah.
There's different sides to you. There's a side that you can play a serious role, like you did in Boyz In The Hood. Then there's a side to you where, you know, Ride Along or, you know, some of the other funny comedy stuff. They're all about the Benjamins. You know, you see these things and still a serious side, but there's also a comedian side to you.
Yeah.
If we had 10 guys here right now that knew you at 13, 14, 15, how would they profile you? Would they say he was feared, he was respected, he was liked, he was cool? What's the first thing they would say about you at that age?
I hope they say I was respected. You know, for my age group, you know, not too many people can handle me in anything, you know, sports, you know, fighting. You know, I was I was able to clean out my age group. So you had to be able to do that, or you would really get, bullied and picked on a lot. So, you had to thump when it was time to thump. So I was always down to thump. And so, a few of them, I don't won my fair share. I done lost a few too, but I was a little out my weight class. But for the most part, cool. You just got to be down. It ain't really about, a lot of people that bang, they scared. They got to bang because it's protection. I always felt like I didn't have to bang because wasn't nobody going to do nothing to me to make me bang.
Got it.
And they knew I was down to jump off my bike and thump. And so that's a must. You have to be down to get down. You might win some, might lose some, but always be down to get some. And so that was my attitude. Most of my friends' attitudes as well. So, I hope it's respect.
Did you witness friends and, peers dying? Did you witness close friends?
Yeah, shot, some, losing friends when you're in the 8th grade is just something you don't really think you're going to have to go through. Losing friends at a young age is just crazy. But hearing about, some of the big homies getting downed, writing rest in peace on my notebooks and stuff like that. It just was just part of the life, part of growing up. I remember when one of my homies got shot. We was my brother's friends, got shot on our block, and I was real young, so it was always like, yo, it can happen right out this door, right? As soon as you step out the door, it can happen. So, it changed me, and changed how I looked at the neighborhood.
When I think about guys that make it to different levels in life, right? You win. You typically have one of 3 formulas. You have the experience unconditional love from somebody. Could be typically it's a mom, right? You experience unconditional pain. It could be you could never please somebody, or a life-changing pain where you're like, this is going to force me to change. And then you chose your enemies wisely, the right enemy that brings out the best in you, not the worst in you, right? What was the single most significant event at that age, 8th grade, 9th grade, maybe even earlier or later, where you said, no, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm out? Was there something that truly impacted? Maybe you brought rage in you, controlled rage, or fear of maybe this could happen to me, whichever one of those could be for you to say, I'm out of here.
Dodging a few situations that could have went south. My stepsister was killed by her husband when I was 12 years old. So that changed my outlook on the world. Before that, everything was stuff you heard about, few things you seen, but here it was right, death at your doorstep. And it was really, a family member that did it. So it was odd and it was crazy to try to process. And I just knew the world was different for me. When I was about 14, was a little older. It was a situation where a guy had taken some money from my mom's, and just on a lie, I'm O'Shea friend from school, and I need, some money, blah, blah, blah. I don't have no money. I'm trying to get here, trying to get there, and just beat her out some money. And we found out that he was smoking, so we went over to kill him. Like, my friend, he had a shotgun. We put the shotgun in the car. We rolled over there, knocked on the dude's door. His pops came to the door, and we asked for him, and he wasn't there. And, you know, if he was there and came out the door, we'd have shot him.
Damn.
And so whole life would have been different. Whole life would have changed that day. And when it didn't happen, I went from being mad to being relieved. I can leave it right here. I'll leave it right here. Yeah. I went from being mad to being relieved that I didn't do that because I was irrational and we was hot and we was about to go to jail. You know what I mean? And so
pure luck, Bob.
Yeah, I just was like, yo, I need to change my way of thinking, you know, on stuff like this. You know, was it really worth it? You know, and I was caught up on principle, and it could have went bad.
I'm 15 years old. I'm in Vegas in the car with another guy who's driving a Cadillac, and his brother is now dead. They're with Burbank 13. This was a gang in L.A., Burbank, because I lived in Glendale. Mm-hmm. And then we pull up, and these guys from New York are to our left. The guy had no clue I had a gun with him. Our guy pulls out a gun. They pull out a gun. We run out. I'm with my dad in Vegas. I go to the hotel, and I'm breathing hard. You know, you're in that kind of a situation. Like, this is it. It's about to, something's going to happen right now.
Yeah.
And then we go in there, and he says, you good? You good? I said, no, I'm totally fine. He said, why are you breathing this way? I said, totally fine. Go to sleep. And from that moment, I'm like, I got to change some of the friends. I'm living in L.A. Parents got a divorce, so you're not like in a, you know, environment that's stable. That one situation, I wouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you. It's pretty wild that you're telling me the situation that if that guy would have opened the door, the father says the son is here, we don't know Cube.
Yeah, it's all over right there. And wasn't worth it at all, you know, and it's you know, it's those situations that I think back, and I thank God that I was, you know, plucked out of these situations at the kind of in the nick of time.
What do you think that is? You think that is God? You think that's pure, you know, accidental? You think someone's looking over you? You think it's just got lucky? How do you? There's a book that was written called David and Goliath, and in the book it talks about not David versus Goliath. He called it David and Goliath. If you can look up this book. And the author in the book talks about people who had flirted with death and made it. They had this feeling of, I'm going to do something special with my life, right? Mm-hmm. And whether they thought it was faith, whether I'm chosen, I'm called to do something. Did you walk away at 15, 16 years old? You're like, I think I'm protected. Someone's watching over me, or not? Not really.
As a very young kid, I didn't understand it. I got hit by a car when I was 5 years old. I went to the ice cream truck with my sister, and she's 15 at the time. And she made the mistake of getting my ice cream first, giving it to me, and then ordering hers. So I get mine. I want to go back across the street. You know, I got what I needed. So she said, I said, I want to go back home. She said, go ahead. So I took off running around the ice cream truck.
Oh, my God.
I took off running, and when I looked, I just heard a car screeching, and the grill of the car looked about this big.
You're 5.
I'm 5. So I'm about to die. I mean, I just see the grill of the car. And it hit me. And I flew, and I landed on the curb. And I remember my father, somebody came and scooped me up. And they took me to the doctor, and I didn't have a bruise. No bones broke. Nothing was wrong with me. And the doctor kept saying, this kid got hit by a car today? And it was like, yeah. And there was nothing wrong with me. So that was one time. I remember when I was young, my grandmother worked for these people in Bel Air. And I never seen a pool. So I took off running as a little kid and ran and jumped in the pool. And I was drowning. And my uncle reached down and grabbed me and pulled me up.
How old are you at this time?
Had to be 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
Real young. So that's another situation. And when I was about 11, my friend's father had a truck. And for a few days, whenever he pulled out, we would run, jump on the back of the truck and kind of duck down and ride for a house or two and then jump off with him saying, get off this truck, get off this truck. So we went to do it one day, and we all jump on the truck. So he pulling off, and when it was time to jump off, he had a trailer hitch, and it caught my leg. It caught my pants leg.
Oh, get out of here.
I fell flat on my back, and he's dragging me down the street.
Oh, my God.
And the kids is yelling, wait, and I'm hollering, wait, stop. And he's dragging me. He's about to pull off into Van Ness, which is a busy street, and he ended up stopping, and it was, it was another situation where if he didn't see us yell, he was kind of looking for us to do it, but he thought we all had jumped off, and so he was pulling off because he didn't see nobody back there, and I'm being drugged by the car. So these are like 3 situations where, I pretty much should have been dead, and for some reason I wasn't, and wasn't hurt. And so, I look back and say, well, it's because I had a bigger purpose to do to some of the things that I've done, and, hopefully change some of the lives of some of the people that I've come across. And, I just had more to do here.
Was it God, or was it just kind of like, it's just, it is what it is?
I think it's God. I think it's God. I think it's divine intervention. It happens when it's just not your time to go. You will not go a minute before your time, and you will not stay a minute when it's time to go. It's like night. When night come, the day, give me a few more minutes of sunlight. No, it's night. You're done. So
you don't have a choice.
Yeah, you don't have no choice. So that's what I believe.
Your sister, the day you were getting that ice cream, 5 years old, is that the same sister that got shot up, or that's a different?
No, that's my sister, Sophie.
That's not the stepsister.
No.
Okay, I got you.
Stepsister was named Beverly.
Beverly. Okay, well, may she rest in peace. So you're sitting there, let's go to mid-'80s, right? Mm-hmm. What's going on? And, is this Colors? It's Colors, right? Yeah, I think Colors, I don't know what your Colors came out, but I want to say mid-'80s, somewhere around there. Where Colors
85.
85, yeah. So what year, does it say, okay, 88. Okay, so 88, Colors is 80. Pretty interesting that it's later. I thought it was earlier.
Me too.
Yeah, so 88 is when you come out. You're 20 years old. I think you're June, but you just had a baby, right? You just had a birthday.
Yeah.
And August of 88, you come up with, N.W.A.'s first album, which you wrote most of it, right? That what I read about.
I wrote a lot of it.
You got Trey, you got other guys but a lot of it was written by you. So, Fuck the Police, right? Straight out of Compton. But let's go to Fuck the Police.
Mm-hmm.
Did you write that truly believing Fuck the Police, or did you write that saying, I think there is so much anger towards the police, I think we're going to disrupt, and I think the market's going to react to this? Why did you write that song?
We didn't know nothing about market and react. We just, this is how we felt. We felt that this was our only weapon against what was happening, getting jacked. As a youngster, back then that's the, crack era. So, everybody that looked like they got a little something is getting jacked by the police. Everybody that got a baseball hat or chain on, beeper, anything, you're getting jacked. And so nice cars pulling you over. And so it was just overkill. And this was our only line of defense. Like, our only weapon is our music. And this is how we felt, because even making the record, we was getting jacked, even in Torrance, because the studio was in Torrance, a place called Audio Achievements. And we'd be getting jacked, just going to get something to eat, pulling up, and, you know, they didn't want us there. And so, you know, the song came out of a real place. But before that, we did songs, you know, like Dope Man and 8 Ball Rolling, Boyz In The Hood, just talking about the environment that we all was living in and trying to, you know, maneuver through without getting killed or thrown in jail.
Boyz In The Hood, 91, right? Let me see. Yeah, July 2nd, 91. Obviously, you were shooting it before that, a couple of years, whenever the time, you know, movie comes out. How much of Boyz In The Hood was acting? How much of it was just you being yourself?
Well, I could have played any of those roles, because all those roles is a piece of how I grew up. You know, my father was there in my life. I did play football, you know, and I could have been a damn good gangbanger if I put my mind to it, you know, a boss in it. So, but I didn't want to go that route. But I could have played any of those roles. You know, I knew all those guys and what life was like. Maneuvering, you know, you have to maneuver. It's, you know, it's like being in a hot zone. You know, you can get shot anytime.
So at this point, when did you say you want to do movies? Because the album comes out prior.
I never said I wanted to do movies.
So then how
I
did
was
they
discovered?
How did they find you?
John Singleton.
He came to you.
He discovered me. I was backstage at Arsenio Hall's show. I wanted to talk to Arsenio because he had the 2 Live crew on his show, and he wouldn't have Eazy-E and N.W.A. And I was like, man, you're going to have Luke up there. You know, what he's doing is, you know, you might as well have us. But I never got a chance to talk to him because this intern kept, you know, talking to me about, like, you Ice Cube, huh? You in N.W.A, huh? And I'm like, yeah. You know, back then, there wasn't a lot of videos. There wasn't a lot of, you know, all the focus was on Eazy-E back then. So, you know, I talked to the dude, and he was saying he was a junior at USC, and he's in film class, and he's going to do a movie, and he's going to put me in it. And he's going to put all of N.W.A in the movie. That was what he said at the time. So, you know, I'm kind of like, you know, okay, dude. I'm thinking at the time you have to, like, go to Juilliard or something. I'm totally not qualified for this. So
you've never gone to acting school?
Never. And he comes and you know, he disappears. So it was just a conversation, and I see him a year or two later at a Public Enemy concert. It was a year later. And he runs up to me, and he's like, remember me? Arsenio Hall show. I'm going to put you in a movie. I'm like, yeah, right, man. He's like, yeah, I'm a senior now at USC, and we're going to do it. And I'm like, okay, man, whatever. You know, and he's trying to tell me about the movie. The concert lets out, and his ride leaves him. And he's like, Cube, man, it's 2 a.m. We out there in Hollywood at the Palladium, no, the Palace, and he's like, man, my ride left me. Can you give me a ride home? I'm like, shit, man.
This is the second time you've ever met him.
Yeah, like, I don't even know you, dude. But he was cool, you know, cool dude, you know, and I didn't want to leave him out there, so I gave him a ride to his dorm. And he's telling me about the movie the whole time, and I'm barely listening. It's 2 a.m. I'm trying to get this dude home so I can go home my damn self. So another year go by, or some time went by. My manager at the time, Pat Charbonnet, she says, somebody want to put you in a movie. And I'm like, huh? by then I had broke up with N.W.A. It was drama going on. It was like I was trying to be the best rapper in the world. Had just done my first solo album. Movie, huh? What? Yeah. So I forgot all about the dude. So she gives me the script. I take the script. I throw it in my back seat. Never look at it. She give me sides. Sides are the scene you have to audition. So they just give you a few pages to see what you got. And so I fold that up and put it in my pocket. And it stayed in my pocket till it was time for me to audition. So she told me on Monday I'll audition on Thursday. So I didn't look at nothing. I pull up to the audition. I pull out the paper out of my pocket. I'm trying to read the scene, see what they want me to do, whatever. I go in. I'm thinking it's going to be a room full of white people making a movie. And it's not. It's John Singleton, the same dude from the Arsenio Hall show. He's like, told you. I told you. Didn't I tell you? Put you in a movie. And I'm looking around. I'm like, damn, they are making a movie around here. I'm seeing cast members on this wall and a lot of activity. It's pre-production. And I go to audition and I'm terrible. I mean, I suck. I can't act a lick. And he's looking at me. He was like, Cube, did you read my story? Did you read my script? Because you suck. And
He's telling you that.
Yeah. He's like, man, I'm gonna have to get another actor, man.
How old is he? He's 22 at the time. I mean,
he's a little, maybe a little older than me, a little younger, 1 or 2. But he's like, yo, you're not good. And I was like, yeah, man, I didn't know what I was saying or reading. I just picked it up out in the parking lot. He said, Q, dude, go home, read my whole script. Read the whole script and come back tomorrow. Give you one more shot at it. But if you're not better, then we're gonna have to find an actor to play this part. I'm gonna have to change my mind on you. And I was like, okay. I said, okay. Now I'm taking it serious because now I've had some conversations with this.
So you're not offended. You're not offended that he's telling you.
No, he right. He totally right. Yeah. And I'm glad he gave me another shot. So I go right home and I read the script and I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? They're making a movie about how we grew up? Like a movie about our neighborhood? Like, is this movie worthy?
Wow. Got it.
And I'm asking Kim, she like, they making a movie, so I guess it's movie worthy. So I get it. So next time I go audition, I'm pretty good.
And I'm boom. I just looked him up, by the way. He's born January 6, 68. Obviously, he passed away 5 years ago, but he's January 6, 68. He's a year older than you.
Yeah.
So you do the movie. What's the difference between the album that took off with N.W.A. versus Boyz In The Hood? The level of fame and success. I mean, how much did they pay you for the movie Boyz In The Hood? Because Cuba said he didn't get paid a lot of money, like $36,000 or something like that.
I got $100,000.
You got $100,000.
I got $100,000.
So at that time, you're a bigger draw than Cuba is at the time, right? Because
most definitely.
Right. So you got.
I think the only bigger draw in the movie was Lawrence Fishburne at the time because he was a established
pops
actor. Yeah.
Right. And so okay. So which of the two puts you like out in the limelight, like the skyrocket of overnight movie sensation or album sensation? Which one had a bigger vertical leap?
I would say N.W.A. because it was like an atom bomb went off. It was just, so radical for the time that everybody had it. Everybody was talking about it. Right. Everybody had an opinion on it. Boyz In The Hood, it took me to new heights, just as an actor. It's like I was getting respected for my acting ability. And so it opened up the door for a new career. Roger Ebert, I think Chicago Sun-Times, said I should have won an Academy Award for my performance. So, by him doing that and recognizing me at his award show, it really set me up because, the Thumbs Up guys were, Roger and Siskel, Roger Ebert, Gene Siskel, I think. They used to, do the movies and give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. So by him kind of giving me a stamp of approval, it opened up a lot of doors in Hollywood as an actor.
Was that like an itch for you where you're like, I'm really enjoying this? Like actually watching yourself on a big screen, did you?
The first time I seen the movie, John, we got real cool, doing the movie because he was young and he loved, N.W.A. He loved my solo stuff. And we was just same age, same interest. So we got real cool. So he showed me, he was like, you want to see the movie? Before he finished it. Bad move. Never show a new actor a movie before it's finished. Because when he showed me the movie, it was flat. It was not the sound. It wasn't no sound mix. It was temporary music. Things were raw, unfinished, edited. Need some more. It was just an unfinished movie, and I didn't understand what I was looking at really. So it just looked like not a good movie because it wasn't like I was seeing cups being put down. I wasn't hearing the sound, and I was so what the hell's going on? Why don't feel like a real movie? And so I called my manager, Pat Charbonnet, and I was like, "Yo, I shouldn't have did this. This was the wrong move. This is about to be a disaster, and why you let me do this movie? You know what I mean? I'm not no damn actor. I was just beside myself about it. And then I called John, and I just wanted the movie to go away. I was just like, I don't want to hear about this movie no more. And then he said, man, just let me finish it. I'm not going to show you nothing else. Just let me finish it, and then I'll show you. So the screening I went to, I was like, man, I'm like, oh, man, I got to sit through this thing again. You know what I mean? And then
night and day.
It was night and day. He put the polish on it. He put the whoop on it, as we say. And it was great, amazing. And I was like so happy that we did it. And then he said, yo, we gonna go to the Cannes Film Festival in south of France. And I'm like, why? What? He's like, yo, we showing the movie in the south of France. I'm like, with subtitles? I'm like, it's already L.A., basically gangbang story on how to survive L.A., but how are the French going to take this with subtitles? They're not going to understand what the hell's going on. So I was, kind of like reserved. But then, we got a standing ovation at the end of the movie. And I look over, it's Quincy Jones, it's Eddie Murphy.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And these dudes it was Jeffrey, I forget his name. Jeffrey Hines or Gregory Hines. They all, just praising the movie, and I was like, damn, if the French love this in subtitles, then when we play this in America, they're gonna love it.
Overnight blew up. Was it him outlined?
Yeah.
So my guy this morning, my trainer, I'm with him. I'm like, so today he's got who you have on the podcast today? I said Cube. He says, really? He says, yes. He says, man, let me tell you. He's 55 years old. So think about what age he is, right? He says, when Boyz In The Hood came out in Miami, he says, Pat, I went to the night it came out. He says, there was a line all the way down. He says, friends weren't sitting with friends because the place is jam-packed. He says, the moment, he giving me a visual, the moment the guy opened the door, we broke the door to go in to see them. He's telling me the story. And so, obviously, there was the market was waiting for this.
Yes. It wasn't a lot of movies out that catered to, the core audience, as far as a hip-hop audience, or audience that, now we were seeing our lives, portrayed on the screen like we had seen with, movies like Grease and American Graffiti, and seeing everybody else's life. Basically, now this movie was showing us our lives back to us, and so it was exciting. A lot of people were looking forward to it.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need, is we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear, and this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Value Timmy? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com, click on the link above or below, place your order, and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.
So Tupac's 2 years younger than you, right? You're 69, he's 68. You're 69, he's 71. Yeah. So at this moment, have you? When was the first time you met Pac?
When I met Pac, he was like a background dancer for the Digital Underground. Digital Underground was a group out of the Bay in California. Actually, their role manager, a guy named Adrian, our role manager was their manager. He was like, we got a new group called Digital Underground. You should hear it. And their first song was a song called Do What You Like. And so we ended up meeting them once we went to the Bay and, just checked out their show. They did some shows with us. And Digital Underground used to have the most entertaining show in hip hop. Yeah, it was like a Parliament Funkadelic feel to it. A lot of characters, a lot of unique routines, and real entertaining show. And
not non-gang related. This is the Humpty, right?
Funk,
the Humpty,
yeah,
right.
Just straight.
I've seen a video with
hip-hop.
Tupac dancing on stage.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that was his role, and he would rap every now and then. Him and Money B would do raps every now and then, and we just became real cool. I fell in love with his energy. He was the kind who stayed up all night, never went to sleep, always coming to your room trying to get you to come out. Just that ball of energy. So
you and him were opposites. Would you say he's a complete opposite of you, or there was some similarities?
A lot of similarities. We both Geminis, so
a lot of Geminis, man.
Yeah.
Do you know the famous Geminis?
Yes, a lot of them.
Elvis, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, John F. Kennedy, Biggie,
Prince,
Tupac, Prince. I mean, it's a
Kanye.
A ton of you guys.
Yeah, it's everybody.
So both of you are Geminis. Okay, so you and him are similar, and you're hanging out. Hey, he always wants to go out. So the experience is good. But at this point, Pac is not he's not a gangster. He's not a tough guy. He's an artist. He's a talent.
Well, what he used to tell me, man, he would be like, man, I want to do the kind of music y'all do.
I don't, or I do?
I do.
I do.
I want to do the kind of music y'all do.
Got it.
Because he said, where I'm from, I think it was Richmond. He said, man, it's raw over there. You know what I mean? They get down over there, and I want to talk about it. But he was under Shock G, who was like, yo, that ain't really the route. That's N.W.A. and Ice-T and King T. That's their lane. You know what I mean? Let's stick with the more party, upbeat. And then he started doing songs like I Get Around, and, they was real cool and upbeat. But when he was able to get a solo deal, that's when he started doing the music that he wanted to do. And that's when he started to, change and go into, the Pac we know.
Too Short says, whenever I was with Pac, I never knew who was going to show up on any given day. One day he's the revolutionary guy. One day he wants to go party with the girls. One day he's a gangster. One day he's an artist. One day he's a historian philosopher. Did you kind of experience that as well, where you never knew who was going to show up, or Pac was just a super creative guy?
Well, he was always the same with me. It was always love, respect. We was similar ages, and we were all in a similar situation. Like,
Are you
we
a
were
class
all
ahead
under.
of him? Are you like, if we're like in high school hip hop? Are you like a graduating class of '88? He's like class of '90, where he kind of looks up to you.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, he
I got you.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, it was mutual love because we looked up to them because what they were doing was, creatively advanced.
Got it.
And so, we appreciated what they was doing. They appreciated what we were doing, and we were both youngsters around. With Eazy-E was the head of our crew. Shock G was the head of their crew. And so we were trying to find our voice within the structure that was in place. So we would, conversate about how do we maneuver and do that. So we were close in that way, in a more, confident way. We would just build and kind of, bounce ideas off each other. Like, man, I want to do this, because I was waiting for my solo project at the time too. So then I became solo and started doing my thing, and then he was solo too. So now he was in LA a little more, and we were, we would run to each other at the studio and just really enjoy seeing each other.
Did you guys ever do anything together or no?
We did one song together. With Ice-T, I think it's on the Trespass soundtrack. Forgot what the name of the song is. Yeah.
Trespass soundtrack. You Ice-T and
Yeah, Last Words.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Was there ever any talks of doing something else together? Like, hey, what if we did this and what if we did that? Or those types of conversation wasn't really being had with the two of you?
Not really being had. He was, on his first few albums, he was really trying to find his way. And, I was doing movies, and I was kind of trying to build that career. And then I think he really put it together with the, I think it's Me Against the World album. And it really started to come together production-wise. Always with his first music, he would triple rap his vocals. Like rap it once and then rap it right on top and then rap it again. And I always thought it was a little mucky. So when he stopped doing that and just
Clean
one track,
Yeah.
That's when Tupac emerged as one hell of a artist. And, songs like Dear Mama,
Powerful.
It's like
Life goes on.
Yeah, it's he's starting to put it together. Then he starts to do movies with John Singleton. I was supposed to do Poetic Justice.
Sick movie.
With
Janet
Jackson.
Lucky.
But I had an issue with the script, so he cast Pac, and it was a great move. He's a great actor. Then he did Juice, or it might have been the other way around, maybe Juice first. But he started emerging as an actor, and then he gets shot, goes to jail, and then Death Row. They get him out, and he just explodes after that.
What was your impression of Eazy-E versus Suge? Both of these guys are alphas. What was different about Eazy-E versus Suge?
Eazy, didn't use intimidation. He didn't use any intimidation. He just was a businessman, straight up. So it was never any, at least when I was around, never any like, yo, this got to go down, or, it's going to be consequences to pay.
So what was his leverage, though? What was his leverage to keep people around?
Having the best ideas, being smart, being innovative, being able to see around the corner, being a visionary, having a plan, having the resources to execute his plan, letting us be who we wanted to be and not who he wanted us to be. You know, he just, to me, he built a better mousetrap. You know what I mean? So everybody was gonna roll with that.
Was he a feared, loved, or respected guy?
All three.
He was. So he's a trifecta.
Yeah.
How about Suge? Just feared, respected?
I think Suge is all three, but it might be different degrees of, you know, I think, you know, definitely feared, definitely respected, and got a lot of people who love Suge because he pulled them out the mud. You know, he pulled them out the dirt. And so, and, you know, he helped orchestrate, you know, one of the greatest eras in hip-hop with Death Row. So, you know, got a lot of people, made a lot of people famous, and they eating to this day.
So it's interesting you say that. Kevin Garnett said about 3 months ago, he says, listen, every NBA player should be thanking Michael because, you know, the whole movie Air, when he negotiates the contract and the mom says 10% of whatever you guys do, and Phil Knight's like, what are you talking about? And Sonny's like, listen, this he wants. I know you're not going to do it. Walks away, said, let's do it. He said, we're probably going to change the game because a lot of people are going to be unhappy with us. But if this shit works, boom, we're taking off. And so Kevin Garnett, so Suge probably set up a lot of people as well where they are today. But Eazy, I remember one story, him talking about that when he was a gangster, he was a saver and he had $30,000, which is what financed the music and the record business that he got into because he had that kind of money. And then eventually he did end up getting, he was on Arsenio Hall where he put his feet up, right? That one interview. How much of an influence did you have at getting Eazy to sit with Arsenio?
None.
Really?
None.
So how did that happen?
I don't know. I had left the group by then.
Okay, got it.
So I don't know how it went down.
When did you ever hear, one day, it's like 3 months ago, I get a call. They said, Pat, Suge wants to talk to you. I said, what Suge? I only know one Suge. He said, no, Suge wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, the Suge Knight? Yeah, it's a collect call. He's on the other line. I'm like, hey, Suge, how you doing? Yo, what up, PBD? You know, hey, you need the hood fucks with you. He's talking to me. I'm like, yo, what's up, Suge? I watch a lot of your stuff. He said, I want to talk to you. I want to do a podcast with you. I said, do I come to you? Do you? He said, no, let's just do collect call.
Yeah.
So it's 6 collect calls he makes, 15 minutes, right? And we do the podcast. I don't know if you had a chance to see any of it. And it goes, boom, millions of views. It's been, all over the place. One of the things he said when I asked him about Eazy-E and Dre, Rob, do you have the clip on what he says? Is it on that spot on what he says?
Yes, this is where he talks about being with Eazy-E and receiving a phone call from Dre.
So I'm curious to know what your thoughts is on this. Go ahead and play this.
So I'm saying, man, I called. So when I answered the phone, I'm talking to him. I said, you getting ready to come up here now. What you want done again? He was like, man, shoot that motherfucker in the head, blow his head off, shoot him in the eye, take pictures of it. You don't got one of those things, blah, 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 before phone shit, Get one of those portable cameras and let me see it. I want to see it, blah, blah, blah. When I hung up that phone, I seen one of the saddest things I've ever seen in a man. I'm looking at Eazy, Eric, like, he said, I bought a car, I think all his phone, one for me, and do nothing. And it's like he's trying to hold back the tears because he don't want to be embarrassed by me seeing him crying. Because he crying because he's scared or he crying because he hurt. But for another man, and crying in front of another man is never a good look. Unless you hear a verse or hear stuff on those places. But but back to the story, he looking so sad. One tear started coming down a little bit. Then a few tears started coming down. I said, check this out, Eric. I ain't gonna never do that to you. You don't got a trip. I said, you didn't got to sign these on something. This one let his fall on. This one for the one I told you. Me and you always been straight. We hung out together. We did all kind of shit together,
I'm going to pause it right. So I don't know if you heard a full thing where he's saying he's on a call speaker with Dre. Eazy sitting there. Can you see something like this happening?
I don't know. It's hard to say. A lot of time that went by. This is my first time hearing this story. I'm lost. I don't know.
Whether something like whether Dre would throw Eazy under the bus or not.
I mean, that's severe for contracts. For no, it's hard to believe. But who am I to say?
Well, let me ask you this, because I've had Sammy the Bull on, and when the FBI brought him in, and they said this is what your boss Gotti said about you, and they played a recording.
Yeah,
and that's when he flips.
Yeah,
he's like, this is crazy. There's no way you're gonna do something like this. And then boom, what do you need? Obviously, the Gotti family's not happy about that whole conversation. But you've seen the story, you've read about it. Maybe you haven't, but it's out there. From your personal experience in life, we have folks that, we can say, I like that guy, but I trust him more. I don't like that guy, but I trust this guy more than I like this guy. I trust him, but I trust this guy more, right? And you kind of score people on who you trust more.
Yeah.
Out of these three people that you've had in your life, these specific three, which one would you say, my experience with him, I trust him the most? And I can't see something like that happening.
With Dre, Eazy, and Suge?
Yes.
Well, I mean, of course I trust Dre the most. He the one brought me in the game. He's never done anything to me as far as contract-wise or business-wise foul. Neither has Suge, So, I mean, I would trust Dre the most. And, out of Eazy and Suge, I know him, been knowing them probably both the same amount of time. And, I trust him. I never felt any issues with Eazy or Suge. With Eazy, we actually had a chance to hug and make up.
When was this?
This was right before he passed away, maybe that February in '94.
How long before he's at the hospital?
I think he's at the hospital in April. Or,
oh, wow. So this is 2 months.
Yeah, it's a few months. And so, Suge, we've always been cool, always been able to have a dialogue and talk and done, business together. He's flown me in to do, videos with Dre. We did Natural Born Killers on the Murder Was the Case soundtrack. So it's always been a cool relationship. I hear the stories, but, all I know him as is stories.
Who did you have beef with? Anybody or no?
It depends on when.
I'm talking in that era, in that specific era.
Oh,
man, I had beef with N.W.A. in that era. Yeah, we had beef. Above the Law, we had beef. Theirs was stemmed because they was loyal to Ruthless, and I had left Ruthless. We had a beef with Cypress Hill. More of a misunderstanding, but it still went down. In Common, we had it was a real misunderstanding. I felt like he did a record that dissed the whole West Coast, so I felt like I needed to take up for the West Coast. But we got past that too.
Was it a combo? Was it a reaction? No, was it a face-to-face?
It was a face-to-face. Minister Farrakhan had like a conference. We brought in a lot of the rappers to try to work out some of these beefs.
Is this post Biggie or post Tupac?
This is
post Biggie, right?
No. This is before.
Before both?
Before both. Yeah.
Wow, because I thought there was another one. The whole when at the award ceremony when Diddy and Snoop are talking, and you can tell the look on their face. They're both a little bit worried that pressure could come back to them. And then someone tried to bring everybody together.
No, it wasn't. It was, I believe it was before that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And that's where Common and all that stuff was squashed.
Yeah, it was squashed. I promised that I wouldn't make another diss, right? I had made a diss song. He made a diss song. I was ready to come back, and then we had the meeting, and I was like, it's better to drop it. It's having a beef in public is very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Why is that?
Because a third party can come in and take one of y'all out, and it's gonna be blamed on the guy you beefing with and not on the real person or party.
Makes sense.
So you beefing with somebody in public and the whole world know now. Somebody who don't like you or don't like them can come in and do something and really, you already know who's gonna get the blame.
I've seen you say, and what happened to Tupac and Biggie, you said there was an assassination attempt on them too. I don't know what the word you used, but it may be that specific word that I'm using. You said on Tupac, it could have been something about what happened earlier in Vegas, that those guys just came back and took him out, where it's not like, somebody did it. But on Biggie, somebody may have taken him out, right? I think you said, correct me on anything I'm saying.
We know of a big incident before Tupac being killed. So
you said we know or we don't? We
do. We saw the tape in Vegas where they were fighting.
Right.
So, when that happens, you have to think about retaliation, and that's always a possibility. And so with the Biggie, he was just out in L.A., wasn't no big scuffle before. So, he was targeted.
He was targeted. I have a feeling how you're going to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. You look at Rogan. Rogan's fascinated with the John F. Kennedy assassination, right? So you're going around, you're doing interviews, and, hey, let me see how this happened. I've interviewed a bunch of guys that were part of the John F. Kennedy assassination, just curious. Curious with what happened with Iran, why I'm here, right? There's certain events with Jimmy Carter because it affects my personal life. So I'm curious, right? Hey, certain things happen with my life and marriage. My mother's side, they were communists. My dad's side, they were imperialists. So I'm kind of curious I spoke to a pretty higher up person from Iran on Sunday because I'm curious what's going on. I want to know what happened. It's part of my life. Mm-hmm. If somebody says Cube, I mean, you're on the in that phase. You're one of the faces. You're one of the biggest names from that, influential names. Mm-hmm. Was the event that big enough where you're like, I really want to find out who took Pac out or who took Diddy out or Biggie out, or not at all? You're like, nah, listen, life happens. I got to move on. If it's a choice between me finding out other things when I was a kid versus this, I'm going to let, God handle this. This is not my doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's events outside of my control. It's not my crew. And, I'm a spectator like everybody else. It's not my job or my mission to find this stuff out. My friend Kibo tells me and tells the world, and I believe it's some great advice, mind your own business and you live longer. So I've been taking that advice to hopefully stretch out a few more years of my life.
You remind me of somebody, and you're going to see where I'm going to go with this in a minute, but Diddy. You're hearing Diddy everywhere, okay?
Yeah.
So did you ever have any kind of run-in with Diddy? Did you ever do anything with Diddy? Any projects you worked on with him?
He produced a few records, or had his producers do a few records on my War and Peace album, the Peace Disc. Yeah.
How was he to work with?
It was cool. He gave us great music. We flew out to New York, and I was mainly in the studio with the producer. He had a stable of producers, so I was in the studio with his stable of producers, and I think we did some great music. And I really, kind of, lost contact with him and really stopped, dealing with Puffy around 94.
Yeah. Any specific reason?
Yeah, I mean, they was doing their thing, I was doing mine. And, I'm not the partying type. You know what I mean? I ain't never been to a Diddy party. I ain't never really wanted to go. But I don't go to a lot of people parties. That just ain't what I'm in it for. You've been to one, you've been to them all.
Are you surprised at what things are coming out with Diddy at all? Or you're like, you have no idea, it's none of my business, you'll live longer? Is that kind of like the mindset?
I'm surprised. How could you be surprised with anything that happens in hip hop? Hip hop is the Wild West. So you're gonna have the good, you're gonna have the bad, you're gonna have the ugly.
You think he's being targeted, or some of the stuff he's got, there's credibility on what they're coming after him with the tapes and the feds and raiding his Miami home, his LA home?
I believe he's being targeted.
You believe he's being targeted?
Yeah. I believe, somebody, has the power to pull the trigger to make, this stuff, this domino effect happen.
Okay. All right. So you think he's being targeted. So you don't think, Suge said, you can say what you want about Diddy, but Diddy didn't learn to like young boys. He learned it from a man named Clive Davis. He threw Clive Davis in there. It doesn't sound like you're part of that camp. You're part of the camp that you think he's being targeted.
I don't know enough to even be able to be specific on any of this stuff. It's just all speculation. I just know he was cool up until a point, and then this stuff started happening. So I believe somebody, like I said, yo, he's our new guy. We on this year or whatever.
Maybe let me go in a different direction with this. I'm curious because for my own curious nature that I have. So I think it's about a little less than a year ago.
Yeah.
You make a video. Mm-hmm. And I watched the video. I don't even know where you were sitting. It just seemed like you're sitting at a place and you're kind of sharing your frustration. And you posted it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it goes tens of millions of views, right? And then afterwards, you go and you're like, if mainstream media doesn't want to have me on, I'm going to go and do my own thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you go on Rogan, you go on Tucker, you go all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? You go all over the place and you're kind of talking and you're doing what you're doing.
Hit Bill Maher.
You hit Bill Maher, which was kind of interesting. You've had a Bill Maher situation before where you called him out directly. It wasn't this one.
Yeah.
That was the Bill Maher of, I think, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, you guys had a moment. You know which one I'm talking about. The one that you were very cool and you just kind of put him in his place, but in a very respectful way.
Yeah. I called it a teachable moment.
Yeah.
Teachable moment.
Rob, have you seen this or no? If you've not seen this, just see if you can find it. It's actually very entertaining. It's 6 minutes, so we don't need to go through it. I think it's worth for the audience to watch for themselves. But anyways, and I don't know if it's Tucker you're talking to or whoever you're talking to. You said, The View didn't want to have me on. Then you said, even Oprah Winfrey didn't want to have me on. When you're trying to promote your big three, you're trying to build your business and all this other stuff. And at that time, some people are like, well, why don't they want to talk to this guy? Why wouldn't they want to talk to him? And then you say, you give him the, maybe it's not, if you were to maybe put a new song a year ago, my visualization would have been, instead of saying fuck the police, maybe the title would have been fuck the mainstream media. Right? Let's just say, if you chose to make a comeback. So at this point of being in this business this long, Hall of Fame, Walk of Fame, you name it, you got all of them, right? Who has the most power in the entertainment industry?
Wow. I mean, it's really hard to say who has the most power. It's some very powerful entities out here, maybe BlackRock has the most power in Hollywood. Who knows?
You'd say BlackRock. I wouldn't disagree with you there on
Maybe
BlackRock.
Vanguard.
State Street, those guys.
Maybe they have the most power in the entertainment industry.
You think more than like a Lucian Grange?
Yeah, he's just, he could be fired.
He could be fired.
Yeah.
Leor, even these guys could be fired.
Yes.
Okay, got it. So you're going straight to the top. Who has the most power? So you think there's so much power that if they wanted to not have a guy like you be heard, they would do their best to not have a guy like you be heard?
Yeah. I mean, it's a little too late. I got a lot of records out there. I'm heard.
Right. So do you know who Sonny Francis is?
No, who's that?
So Sonny Francis is, Google Sonny Francis.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with the Colombo family?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
You ever seen the movie Mobster with Christian Slater? With you hear the story about Meyer Lansky, Frank Costello, all those guys.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So Sonny Francis is probably one of the most feared mobsters of the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he did 55 years in jail.
Wow.
He died, I think, Rob, at 103 or 104 years old. If you can go down and see what age he is when he died, 103. So he and I met 3 times in the last 2 years before he died.
Yeah.
I was trying to do an interview with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in New York, and I take him out to lunch, and we're sitting down, we're talking, and I'm asking about his experience with Meyer Lansky. I'm asking about experience with all these other guys. And he was very comfortable throwing, the people of power, the government or the money people under the bus. But he was no way going to throw any of his peers under the bus at all.
Yeah.
Even if you said to him, so, Sonny, what do you think about Bugsy? He'd said, you'd never call him Bugsy to his face. To you, you can call him Mr. Siegel. That's how he was.
Yeah.
That's this guy. If you ever read about this man, he is as legit as they get. Some stories about one guy at their house flirts with his wife. You can read what he did to that guy afterwards. Wow. Okay, so he's one of those heavyweights. Cube, do you think it's necessary for the people of power who abuse their power to be exposed, or is it not a fight worth having?
I mean, the truth is always good. The truth is always good for the soul. What's done in the dark will come to light. And, if it's the truth, then it's probably necessary.
You think the entertainment industry is going through major disruption or not yet?
Yeah, man, because the entertainment industry has to deal with artificial intelligence, artificial art, artificial influence, artificial inspiration, artificial, pictures, movies, music. And we're going to have artificial fun with it.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be here if it isn't already, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's artificial porn, wives, women. I mean, there was a movie done called Her. I don't know if you ever saw this movie, Her.
Yeah, I remember
with
Her.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, it was a
weird
movie. Yeah.
Weird movie.
Weird, but here we are.
Right, exactly.
So
ahead of time, right? Kind of like, where we're eventually going to be at that, that time was going to be coming. Cube, what's been your experience this last year of going around talking to guys and, you've spoken openly about a lot of different issues. I mean, you don't go on Tucker Carlson and not get people to say, why would you talk to Tucker? Why would you? I even think you did a live one time with Alex Jones, or maybe you were on like a Twitter X or an X. I don't know what it was. Maybe one was reacting to the other, but I recall seeing something there. So what's been your experience? Is your experience, I want to double down and keep going, or is your experience, I'm going to back off a little bit and just go about my business?
Well, I just want to. At a certain point, you speak your mind and you're heard, and then, what need to be said has been said. And if you need to keep repeating it, the people obviously is not listening. So politics and all that kind of stuff used to be personal. Religion, people didn't talk about that stuff. Now, you know, people want to know what you are before they even know who you are. So it's become, you know, whack to talk about politics. It's whack. Everybody, especially this time around, everybody know what's at stake. Everybody know who is who. You know both guys back and forth. What's to talk about?
You know, for me, when I made my first round of money, you make $1 million, you don't have FU money. You know, you make 10 million, you still don't have FU money. You make a few $100 million, you officially have FU money, right? Where it's kind of like, all right, you know, I don't need to worry about, you know, and then you don't go to the parties like you don't. I'm a married guy, 4 kids, you know, this, in what is today's date, Rob?
I go to the parties when I'm getting paid.
That's a different story, though.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can call me O'Shea if you're paying me. If not, my
Yeah.
name is Cube, right?
Yeah.
In 2 days, it's going to be my 15-year anniversary. I've been married, right?
Sweet.
And we take it 1 year at a time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of work that you do it, right? And I was the guy you didn't know who was my girlfriend. And then if you knew, it's because I wanted you to know. I don't need to, you know, me and my girl have a relationship. It's our business. When my wife and I were dating, when all of a sudden they found out, they're like, you guys are together? Yes, for how long? No shit. Yeah, why don't you tell us? It's not your business. It's a wife. It's who I'm choosing to be with, and the people that I have double dates with, we do what we do. And then, you know, plays the role of faith, plays the role of all these other things. And what's your politics, Pat? None of your business what my politics is, where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of going through that phase. And then you get kids, and you have 4 of them, 12, 10, 8. She's going to turn 2, 3, because our youngest is born on our anniversary date, same day. And then I read one quote that leveled me. Remember your friend told you one quote, you know, if you mind your own business, you're going to live a longer life than if you don't. I read this quote that said, if you think it's foolish to study politics, you'll be governed by fools who do. So I read that. I'm like, it's either Socrates or Aristotle, Plato, one of these guys. I'm like, man, I don't want to do this. So we're creating content. Every time we're creating content, my guy Mario, who's been with me 19 years, I'd say, I'm going to make content around business. If I even say anything about politics, stop the video. So we're shooting video at 11 o'clock at night, and our audience mainly is business. We run consulting. We consult for 5,000 businesses, 60-plus countries, but David Consulting. We're doing all this stuff, and, you know, there's a lot of businesses we run. And, hey, Pat, you're talking politics again. Why'd you stop me? Pat, it's politics. Damn, you're right. Stay away from it. So I'm staying away from it. Going back to business. Boom, boom, boom. Going back to business. Boom, boom, boom. Going back to business. You're flirting, right? It's kind of like what's drawing you in. And eventually I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to let the fear of them trying to ruin your life prevent me from speaking about common sense, because if I don't, my future grandkids are going to look back and say, Grandpa, how come you didn't do anything about it? Look at what happened over here right now. What's this all about? You know, I'm an LA kid, you know, it was to live and die in LA. I'm an RBO posse. Don't give me no Bam or weed. We don't smoke that shit. I'm a rapping Forte. I'm a Master Ace. It's the INC ride. It's the ride. You know, I'm a Kid Frost, right? I'm that guy. I'm a 1.8 GPA, you know, regular guy that's not supposed to do anything in his life. There's nothing special about me that I'm, you know, supposed to do. So you give me this life, and then I don't want to use all this you gave me for good. What am I afraid? Am I worried about walking on stage? And that's what I grapple with, right, as an individual myself. Do you ever find yourself grappling with that, or not really?
You know, I look at the different ways to connect with the public, right? You could do a podcast like this. I could do my own daily podcast and tell everybody what I'm thinking. Or I can do music. I can do movies. Something I enjoy doing a lot more, and say what I feel in the art. And let the art do what it do. You know, people interpret it the way they want it. And so to me, that's a better place. I don't want to be a politician. I just want to give people good information if I got it. So, I use the art to do that, just like a painter. You paint it, you put it on the wall, and whether people like it or not is their problem. You're gone painting the next painting. Like, every picture you walk by, the artist is not sitting there saying, "Did you like it? Did you like it? I did this. Did you like it? I did it." The artist is long gone. You don't even know who he is, where he is. All you know is you got to deal with what he put on the wall. You can look at it, not look at it. You can love it, you can hate it, but that's your problem. That's something you have to deal with. His job is done. And that's how I like to express myself, through my art. And you either like the song, you don't. You like the movie, you don't. And I'm going to the next.
Yeah, I think it's validated that you're loved, bro. You're not a liked guy. You're a loved guy. We love you. We don't like you. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking from a standpoint of a fan. I'm a fan. I mean, we're not buddies. We've never broke bread. This is not like, hey, Cuban and I are friends. We've never had dinner together. This is the first time you and I are even interacting. So I'm coming from a place of, we've had both a good life with what we've done, and we're still in the game. You're doing Big 3. You're doing a bunch of other things that you're working on, which is impressive. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think the difference is with the artist is, imagine if they took the brush away from the artist. That's the problem, right? Yeah. What if we get to a point where the artist can't have the brush anymore? And that's what a lot of artists feel like, the entertainment industry has flirted with. And that's the frustrating part. When I talk to different people, I'm in L.A. last week. I only go to L.A. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, Rob? I'm in L.A. 2 weeks ago. And I'm speaking at the annual Chase's Small Business Owner Symposium. I'm there with Christina Yamaguchi. I don't know if you remember, the figure skater. And then there's Shaun White and Sofia Vergara speaking at this event. So then we go and meet with a director of a couple movies you're familiar with. I'm like, so what's happening with Hollywood? How much has changed? Man, it's a very different life today in California, right? It's a very different life in L.A. I pulled up numbers to see what homelessness was in 88, mid-'80s, late 80s in L.A. versus where it's at today, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you look at crime versus today. You look at the streets. I used to go to Denny's at Baldwin is it Baldwin Park, the one with the movie theater where there was a Denny's Sizzler? There was a Sizzlers there there, and I used to speak there all the time. And so that was, my dad had a 99-cent store down the street from Great Western Forum. Yeah, he worked there 15 years. They knew him as David, and right next to Video 2020. If you remember Video 2020, my dad's store is right next to it, wall to wall, right? So you go from that to now today with California. You look at the homelessness today in California, you see the mess in California. And I thought I was going to live and die in LA. It's the place I've lived the longest, 24 years. Yeah. Minus my time. Even in Iran, I lived there 10 years. Year and a half in Germany, refugee camp. 24 years in LA. 2.5 years in Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee when I was in the Army. 5 years Dallas. 3 years Florida. But it's 24 years LA. You tell me the freeway. I know. You said Linwood. I know Linwood. You tell me all. I know these places, right? And I left, went to Dallas, and then I'm eventually here. Do you think you're going to live and die in L.A.?
I hope to. I love Los Angeles. I can't imagine living anywhere else. So I'm going to ride and die. Hopefully it won't fall into the ocean. You know what I mean? But
the big earthquake.
If it do, I'm going to be riding it on down to the bottom. You know what I mean? I'm going to ride it on down to the bottom. And so... that's my favorite place in the world. And so I'm always want to be in California.
What do you love most about California?
Everything, the weather. In California, you can go from the snow to the ocean in 2 hours. So it's
Big Bear.
Maybe 90 minutes, yeah. So it's a great place. Got everything in between, the scenery. It's just beautiful.
Obviously, I think you're a diehard Laker fan. You almost talk like you own the Lakers.
Yeah.
You know, they.
Well, I'm a lifetime Laker. You know, them other guys can get tricked.
By the way, I looked at the list of things that, favorite musician, Michael Jackson, right? Jaws, favorite movie, right? All these things I'm kind of like, what are
Mike
some...
was my favorite singer. Prince is my favorite musician.
Interesting perspective. Favorite song of Michael?
Oh, man, my favorite song of Michael, oh, my God. Like,
he's got a lot of them. It's not like it's going to be
he got
easy.
so many hits. It's hard to say. But I guess I would go with, it's hard to beat Billie Jean, man. It is hard to beat Billie Jean. Yeah.
Top 5 Lakers all time ranking. I think you've done this before. I don't know if you've done this before, but I'm assuming you're probably going to have it. And I think I know who your number 1 is, but I'm actually curious to 2, 3, and 4.
I mean, my number 1 is Magic Johnson.
Sure, right.
My number 2 is Kobe Bryant. My number 3, it would be Shaquille O'Neal. Number 4, Michael Cooper.
Michael Cooper.
Michael Cooper.
Wow.
Michael Cooper was no Cooper, no rings. Yeah.
Who's your 5?
Number 5, I would put on, I would say, James Worthy. Big game James.
Big game James.
Yeah, he always played better in the playoffs than the regular season.
I had James on at one of our events 12 years ago, and I asked him a question. I said, so what was the dynamic with you and Magic when you guys were kind of, maybe even 13 years ago? He says, when I came to the Lakers, I was a number 1 draft pick. Like, I was better than Michael in college. I'm the guy that's coming in, right? You better treat me as that. And he says, I'm about to be traded. And he says, one day Magic comes in, and Magic says, hey, I just want to tell you, James, I want you here, but this is my team.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can understand that, we're going to do very well together. Some dynamic like that.
Yeah.
And he says, James walked away, and he says, you know what? He's right. This is his team. After that, they had 0 problems.
Yeah. I mean, Magic bowed to Kareem.
Yeah.
Not bowed, but just said, hey, I'm coming in to help Kareem win. And, it's not about me. But at that point, it was about him.
About Kareem.
About Magic. At the point when Worthy came in, it was about Magic. So it was only right that Magic told Worthy what it is.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hip hop. Would you think hip hop, when we had this professor here from Harvard. What was his name? James Fryer. I want to say, maybe I'm not saying his name properly. Dr. James Fryer. Can you type in, I think, Dr. James Fryer? I don't know if you've heard of him or not. Cube. He's fantastic. Okay. If I get his name right. Is it? Oh, put in Fryer Robin. You should be able to pull it up. You're taking a long ways, Rob.
No.
Oh, it's going to take you a while to find him. Okay. So hip hop. Okay.
Yeah.
If we go through hip hop from day one till today, would you say hip hop's been a net positive to society? Roland G. Fryer.
Yeah.
And he's a professor that wrote a couple different things, papers, and got a lot of controversy behind it. I think, Rob, what was it, the paper that he wrote that he got heat from Claudine Gay?
It was regarding statistics regarding police violence when it comes to police using violence against black people as opposed to police using violence against people of not people of color.
And this is a guy that he says, I went back in multiple times, and this almost cost me my job. He saw there's more police violence towards whites than blacks based on statistics, and he broke it down. Why? Because the cops are afraid, because they're going to get more scrutinized if they do something to them. Anyways, so this article goes, and he gets a bunch of heat for it, right?
Yeah.
And he's right now working on the effects of hip-hop on society, okay? Mm-hmm. And he hasn't done the paper yet. The paper's going to come out in the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
And you read different things. You think hip-hop's had a net positive or a net negative impact on young boys' lives?
I think in a lot of ways it's had a net positive. It's given a lot of youngsters hope. If you think about the world before hip-hop, it was pretty corny. and it was really no outlets for the young youth to express themselves. You know, everything was being done by, you know, grown men and grown women, and there were very few outlets for the youth to express themselves, you know, on a mass level or on a, you know, major level, put it that way. And then hip hop changed that. Hip hop has created an industry where there was none. It's created, you know, more jobs than I can even speak on. It's created industries, created talent, cameramen, editors, engineers. It's created superstars, you know, from people who can't sing, probably can't sing a lick, you know, but they can still, you know, sell out stadiums and arenas. It's given hope to kids, just like sports have, to change their situation and change their dynamic, you know, almost overnight. And look, it's like saying, has movies helped people become better? You know, there's all kind of movies, you know, there's horror movies, there's pornos, there's all kind of stuff. But overall, in general, if you don't count all the bad stuff, you know, movies have done a lot to bring the world together. And so I think hip hop has done more to bring people together, especially of all different races. You know, where else can you go and see kids of all different races getting into one thing, you know, one style of music? So, you know, of course, there's the hardcore music, and everything bad in the hood is blamed on hip hop. You know, a bad kid doing something in a baseball hat, it has to be, or a hoodie, he has to be hip hop, or it had to have something to do with hip hop. And it's not true, because those things were happening before hip hop. Now, of course, the weapons and all the things that's on the street now wasn't there before, but they're there now. Hip hop don't make weapons. Hip hop don't make drugs. You know, hip hop might talk about it, might speak about it, may glorify it, but at the end of the day, these things are manufactured by conglomerates and corporations. Hip hop don't, you know, leave train cars open full of weapons in the hood, where, or U-Hauls, or, you know, you know, that has nothing to do with hip hop. That has something to do with a power structure that want to keep the status quo. So overall, I believe hip hop has helped the world be a little more honest with itself.
Almost like a form of comedy. I think, but maybe the better comparison would be a comedy, right? Where comedy allows you to, like, you know, sometimes Dave Chappelle gets up and he tells some jokes, you're like, you kind of crossed the line right there. But you know what? Maybe it's a form of being honest with the market, and you decide. If you don't like it, it's like, look, you know, I'm for this thing. When he got up, one of the jokes he said, you know, ladies, I'm kind of with you. It should be on you to decide, your body, your choice, if you want to keep the baby or not. I agree with you. It should be your body, your choice. Now, if it's your body, your choice, I should also have the choice whether to pay child support or not. That should be on me as well, right? And you see the ladies at first, they're all like screaming with him, and then they're like, boo, you know, and he's kind of, wait a minute, why are you pissed now? You know, and he gets into his whole thing that he does. I get that. You know, I think about when I was a kid and I'm listening to Hit 'Em Up. My workout playlist, Hit 'Em Up, right? You know, and then you listen to Eazy-E, real mother, you know, and then you listen to More Murder, and you remember that one song with, what was it? We're not against rap. We're not against rappers, but we are against those thugs. Remember that whole, you know, who was it? Bone Thugs, right? That came out with that song. So, you know, that's my playlist. And as a kid, to me, it was rage I had on why am I living this life? And this was my way of connecting, right? Where it's kind of like, man, there's an outlet to it, right? So, I was internally friends with these rappers. I was hanging out with you guys. It was a good day, right? One of the greatest hip hop songs of all time. Some say top 5, top 10. That's you, right? Hey, today was a good day. All right, so. But then, you fast forward, and this guy said something very interesting. I'm not done with the research, but let me tell you what I did find. I said, what's that? He said, in the projects and in the hood, hip-hop did well because it helped spring people out. He said, but hip-hop, and again, he's not done with it. I don't want to quote him on this. He needs to come out here and tell us what it is. He says, in the areas it hurt is communities that they don't have a tough life. They're living an okay life, and now they're thinking they're gangsters. You're going to a private school, you're not a gangster. Now you're going to school, and I got a gun. Let me tell you what I got. So it made some of those kids act like they're tough, and you're not really tough. So it helped the ones here, but it kind of hurt some of the other communities that maybe weren't exposed to this life. I mean, when you listen to Brenda's Got a Baby, that's Brenda's Got a Baby, and then the dumpster, and you're like, remember that whole scene in the movie you guys did? I think, did you do it in Europe? Was it Straight Outta Compton? What movie was it? It wasn't Straight Outta Compton when he's maybe no, it wasn't in Straight Outta Compton. I don't know what movie this is with Tupac where he's negotiating with the producer. Could have been a documentary where he's like, I want Brenda's Got a Baby in the album. No, we're not going to do it. No, it's got to be in the album. I'm telling you, we can't put this in the album. They're not going to let us play this on the radio. You're not. What are you doing, Paul? We can't. I'm not doing this if it's not. You know what scene I'm talking. I don't know which movie it is. But guess what? Brenda's Got a Baby. It's telling a story. He's not making. You said Richmond earlier, right? And this is some of the things that he's seen. What do you think about that argument? That maybe it hurts some sects, some communities, but it hurts some other because it brought in, mindsets to safer communities that are not dealing with these issues?
Well, my thing is, what issues are they dealing with in those communities? Because it might not be gangbanging, but it could be other issues that they're dealing with. This has always happened with art. Sometimes, life imitates art and art imitates life. When I think about, people that do what they do, like a Stephen King of the world who, usually makes horror movies or, sometimes very violent stories, and he's allowed to be that type of artist without somebody doing a psych op on what is done to the world. Sometimes guys paint a beautiful picture, sometimes they paint an ugly picture. But the key is, you've listened to the music. You've named some of the most hardcore records ever, and you've turned out fine. It's mindset and it's individuals. And some people don't know how to take it, but that don't mean you should stop doing it because a few people don't know how to accept the music and look at it as music and art and continue to live their lives. Everybody walked out the movie, wanting to be Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? Everybody walks out the movie thinking they Bruce Lee. Yeah. And so that happens with good art. People gonna wanna, when Barbarino was on TV, on Welcome Back Carter, being, basically a thug in the classroom, with a red rag hanging out his pocket and portraying that, you had a lot of people that wanted to be Barbarino. Fonzie come in, he cool, got the leather jacket. A lot of people going, hey, I'm the Fonz. Nobody want to kill Happy Days because, now they friend out here in the suburbs got a leather jacket on and he's saying, hey, all the time. So, this happens when you do great art. People want to imitate it. That don't mean you kill the art for it.
Yeah. Do you still listen to hip hop?
Yeah.
What do you listen to? Do you have like workout playlists or what's your playlist?
Not on that tip. I listen to what's hot, and I'm doing music myself, so I'm mainly listening to what I need to do better on my own stuff.
You listen to any old school stuff or not?
Yeah,
really?
everything.
What do you listen to?
I can go back, Run DMC, some of the great albums. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Another great album. LL,
LL.
even Fat Boys. Yeah, listen to it all.
Wow. On the only thing, and I'm going to come back because I want to see who's your on the top 5 hip hop rappers. I'm curious to know what you'll say about that. But you know what it is with me today, Cube, and I'm just transparent about it with you. So, man, I was so caught up in my life that when I did a 180, for me at least, one day, like for me, hip hop stops in 03. I know nothing after 03 with hip hop. When I tell you nothing, I'm telling you I know nothing after 03. You tell me Kendrick Lamar, I can't tell you a song. Mm-hmm. You tell me, Lil Wayne, I couldn't tell you one song. If I hear it, I know it, but I can. Now you go back 90s, I'm with you. I can hang with anybody, even R&B. You bring anybody R&B, Aaron Hall, Uncle Sam. I can go weird stuff like As Yet. I can go, all of that because that was my era. That was my crew. That's who I was with. But then one day I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this no more. So I replaced everything I listened to in the car. Radio's not been on in my car since 03. It's been only books. And I realized if I listened to too much hip hop, the way I would speak would change, my rage would change, my intensity would change. And maybe in certain situations that's a good thing, but when you're running a business and you want to get the creative juices flowing, I lowered that up. I went back to more 80s. I listened to more Grandma's Grandma's Hands with Bill Withers, and I love that song. It's one of my favorites. I go to that, 70s, 80s to just bring it here instead of trying to take it there because I believe words have power. Mm-hmm. Affirmation, it's got a lot of power. So even earlier when you were talking about your friend who gave you that counsel, mind your own business and you'll live longer, and you said it's not necessarily, what you say publicly. It's what another person that's not involved in the debate or the discussion can interpret that in a certain way and come back and try to harm certain individual, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not even involved. This gangster rap's not even a part of you. What are you doing? This John F. Kennedy, what are you doing? It's not even a part of you. What are you doing? And then that can get somebody with certain words to say, you know what, I'm going to be the hero and I'm going to come out there and do X, Y, Z. That's the only risk, that when I go there, that's what I think about in that part.
Well, mind your own business and you live longer. It doesn't mean ignore everything that's going on.
No, not at all.
Focus on.
Yeah.
It means, you started to mind your own business when you said, okay, I'm going to turn the radio off. And I'm gonna listen to books and improve myself that way. That to me is what it's all about. And also, too much of anything is not good. Yeah, too much hip hop is not good. It's like too much sugar. It's not good. It's you gotta have balance. You know what I mean? So you gotta have a little R&B with your hip hop. Gotta have a little funk with it.
Mix it
a little soul. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I got you.
You gotta mix it up to have a balance.
Maybe I love hip hop a little too much for me to go to it because, I go.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
It's an energetic music.
Beautiful
that really
music.
can give you a nice feeling. But too much of it, is not good for you.
Top 5 rappers in hip hop. Who would you put on your top 5? Not albums.
No order.
That's a different game.
No order, because I love them all. Chuck D, Melly Mel, KRS-One, Rakim, Ice-T.
How many times have you given that list?
A few times.
Few times,
yeah.
How many times do people think those are the 5 that are going to be on your list?
I don't know. You never know, but these are my OGs.
That's cool.
I would throw LL in there too. These are my OGs that show me how to use the music and make it powerful and not just a nursery rhyme.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember one time, funny story. You know Jay King?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Jay King. Club Nouveau, yeah. Why you treat me so, and he had what? Look at all these rumors, right?
All these rumors.
So one day, Jay King and I start working together.
Yeah.
And he says, Pat, I want to start selling insurance. I hear there's a lot of business in insurance. I love Jay King. If you've been around Jay King.
Oh, he a hustler.
He a hustler. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
So I said, Jay, we got to go talk to certain people that they have, reputation and that we can sell them insurance.
Yeah.
He says, all right, so let's go to Beverly Hills. I don't know which one it is. He takes me to one of these hotels. We go there. We're sitting there. He says, let's talk to Suge. I'm like, Jay, no insurance company is going to let me sell insurance to Suge. What are you talking about, right? And he brings all these guys one by one. And then you realize, this space is a very interesting. I was friends with Reggie Calloway. I don't know if you remember Reggie Calloway. The Calloway brothers, I want to be rich, and then he had Casanova. Was it Casanova? Casanova. Yeah, I think that's Reggie Calloway. Yeah, that was them. CIA, your first crew, your name was CIA.
Crew in Action.
Crew in Action, right?
We wanted it to be Criminals in Action, but Lonzo was like, man, stop talking this criminal stuff. You know what I mean? We're going to be Crew in Action.
So I like that. So
after the Wrecking Crew in Action.
So CIA, and you've said some stuff about the CIA. Rob, I don't know if you got the clip or not. I don't know which clip this is. We'll play one of these clips if you got it. Is this on Bill, Rob? Okay, play this clip. Maybe your position's changed, but I want to hear your thoughts. Go forward.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're going to have this guy write the lyrics. We're going to have that. You have, the record company pushing the narrative, and somewhat, some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
So, how much truth is there behind that?
I think it's a lot of truth. If you really remember, I was talking about the Black Rocks of the world and Vanguards of the world. Look how much they are invested in all these big labels and the prison industry. And not saying that the CIA is sitting there writing rhymes, but they may have a deal with the labels and to allow certain records to get through. I mean, it's up to the label who they blow up, the whole industry. And so, I've seen records made by a committee when it's not the artist's own thought process. But that happens with a lot of records. A lot of records are, you got producers, you got A&R people, you got people who sit there and say, okay, this sound like it's a hit. This sound like it's gonna be great. And so it's not hard to imagine a record label, finding a kid that's talking the hardest and blow him up to the top because they know, some kids may be out there gonna listen and like you said, be influenced to do something because this is their favorite rapper. So, you don't see a lot of happy rappers at the top of the game, do you? No.
You know any of these names, any of these people that the CIA fed them or somebody wrote the scripts for them or no? I'm not looking for names. I'm wondering if
I don't know names, it's just companies who, they're not gonna let you put the record out unless they have a say in the production of the music.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like you write a book and they say, hey, you can't be critical of this guy. Take this out.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we got to talk to the lawyers about this line. We don't want to get sued by those guys like that. You're not saying necessarily to try to get internally to destroy a community like the African-American community.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not either. I don't know what their plan is. I just know that the same people who own the labels own the prisons. And I believe, and it's a lot of evidence out there, that they make sure that the records that are put out will more than likely have a negative effect on the community and create, a prison industry or a prison community where you got the men and women in the community going to jail often. So it happens. It's real. It's reality.
Last two things before we wrap up. Friday 4. How is that looking?
Better than it has in the past. There's new leadership up at Warner Brothers, and they see the value in making this movie, but it got to be done in the right way under the right circumstances. So right now we just working out those circumstances on how this movie is gonna be produced, and make sure that we got a lot of people who are big stars now who want to be in the movie, so we got to make sure we got enough to pay them.
These influencers you're talking about.
Well, no, I mean, Mike Epps is a bigger star.
Yeah.
Cat Williams is a bigger star. Terry Crews is a bigger star.
I got what
these guys are a lot bigger than they was when we did the first movie. Where
Cat is now.
This was they shot. So we want everybody to be happy and want everybody we can to get back in the movie.
Let me tell you which one of your movies I've watched. God knows how many times. All About the Benjamins. I can't. For me, that's the one. It says you ain't got a faux head, you got a five head. You don't watch movies, do you? You have dreams.
Yeah. Hey,
I bet you never see it.
He that movie's one of those gems, that people love, and wherever you catch it, you can watch it.
I can't help myself. He is too good. And Big 3. How's that looking? How's that come along?
Amazing. Big 3. We in our 7th season. We're going into week 3 in Baltimore. We're selling teams now. So we sold a team in Los Angeles, and we sold a team to Heath Freeman in Miami. So it's going to be a team out here in Miami. And we're looking at Toronto. We're looking at Dallas. We're looking at London, New York, Detroit. So, hopefully we can sell these 12 teams and expand the league and unlock a major fan base.
How close were you at signing Caitlin Clark? Were you having conversations with her people, or?
Yeah, we had conversations with our agent. We were a little disappointed we didn't get a chance to sit down with her and her family because we think we could have made a compelling argument they probably didn't want us to make and tell her how much leverage she really has at that time. So, it didn't happen, but we was ready for it if she was ready to take that step, and it was a big step. Playing against men, in this new league, it was a major move. And she probably just didn't need another challenge. At the end of the day, being in the WNBA with a target on your back is probably challenging enough.
Do you watch the WNBA?
I catch a game or two every now and then.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's changed numbers. Her, average attendance 15,500.
That's sweet. And people love the women's sports because we know they want to win. They're playing to win.
Right.
And with the men in the NBA, we're not sure. We're not sure if they want to win or are they worried about their brand? Do they want to be like they load management? What is it about? Is it really about bringing home a ring?
In WNBA? Or are you saying
in the NBA?
In the NBA. So you don't think it's not what it used to be anymore?
I'm not sure. Are you? Are you sure that every NBA player is dying to win a championship, or do they care about their brands?
Did you watch the finals?
I did.
All of them?
I caught a few games, about 3 games, man.
Were you bored out of your mind or not really?
I wasn't bored, but it didn't feel the same. It doesn't have the same weight for some reason.
I didn't feel it at all. I didn't feel it at all. To me, when's the last time I felt it? It's going to sound weird. It's when the Bucks played the Suns. Yeah. That was sick.
Yeah.
They were fighting. There was something there. Giannis wanted it. There was something about this one. I'm like, maybe Porzingis just completely changed the game the first couple games when he played. Remember when he came in, you're like, dude, this guy's got 4 blocks in the first quarter, Yeah, there's no way these guys 16-4-4, in the first, half or first quarter. I'm just not excited with the NBA product today. I'm not. I don't see the competition. I think the last time I watched the NBA All-Star game when they fought in that 1/4 quarter where first to 157, I think game ended 155, 157, and the type of defense, you're like, this is cool. And then they went away again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, the last time I rooted for the Lakers, and I know this is going to be controversial for you because I know your loyalty where it lies. I've been a diehard Laker fan since Michael made that shot over Sam Perkins.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's when I came to the States. And I mean, listen, Sedale Treat. I'm talking Nick Van Axel. I'm talking Elvin Campbell, Kevin Smith. I think Kevin Smith was his name, 34. Kevin Smith, what was his name? Anyways, we had it number 34. That's my era.
Travis?
Not Travis. This is in the 90s. If you go to 1994 Lakers squad, you would see this. Sedale Treat. Nick Van Axel was exciting to watch. Left-handed, who was a fighter.
Yeah.
What's the squad? Can you zoom in? Samuel,
Eddie Jones.
Remember when Cedric Sabala scored that 50 points in a game? Oh, Tony Smith. Tony Smith. Yeah. Did you ever see Cedric Sabalas' rap song? Do you remember that?
I think I did see it. Yeah.
Flow On. It was called Flow On. It was terrible, but I mean, he scored 50 points in a game. I liked him. He was our guy, when we listened to him back in the days. Anyways, Cube, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor having you on. Congrats on an incredible life. I don't even want to say career because some people have great careers. You've had an all-around great life. You're part of a community where your son wants to work with you and collaborate with you and do movies with you. You're married for 32 years. You love where you came from. You give respect to the people that came from your industry. There is a lot of strong, deep character with you. And there's a lot of depth with you. And I applaud you, I respect you, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on. And we had a good time. I talked about some things that I've never talked about in the interview. So it's a great setting.
I appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
In these uncertain times, if there's anything we need people to believe the future looks bright. So if you've heard about me saying this mission to you, we're on a mission to get 1 million people to wear this gear. And this is what we're doing. If you buy one of these hats, there's a category of buying one hat, getting the second one free. If you haven't yet worn this gear publicly, go ahead and test it out. Buy some of the gear, wear it in public, and see how many people will stop by and say, you also watch Value Timmy? You also follow PBD Podcast? I do too. Place your order. Go to vtmerch.com. Click on the link above or below. Place your order and represent the VT and the PBD Podcast gear.